Hey there, welcome to the Bronx Buzz. This is Bronx Net's program where we talk to reporters, writers, editors, journalists, anybody who's putting stuff out in the Bronx. And in our second segment today, we're going to talk to people who have a beautiful art show on display at An Beal Bocht, which is on 238th Street West, 238th in Riverdale. But to start, we're talking baseball with my buddy. Who else knows more about New York baseball than Howie Karpin? I say nobody. Nice to see you, Howie. What's going on?
I appreciate the support over the years, and you're in. You're putting me in my element. That's for sure.
That's for sure. Listen, we were in our element when we played softball together in PS 96 schoolyard. So, and that goes back even before we were doing this stuff.
Wow.
Anyway, Howie, let's just get right to it. My estimation is the Houston Astros were undeniably the best team in baseball, and they accordingly won the World Series.
Well, there's no question they were the best team, and also it helps justify the new playoff system a little bit more because there was a narrative created now that the Phillies had 87 wins and they made it all the way to the World Series and got through 3 rounds to get there. Everyone says, "Oh, that makes the regular season less important," but it really doesn't, because look what the Astros did. They had the best record in the American League. They had the home advantage in both series. They put Seattle away quickly. That gap between series didn't affect them at all. I mean, they didn't skip a beat, even though, they lost the first game of the World Series, and they ended up winning it, and they were the best team. A lot of times, as you well know, over the years, the best team doesn't always win, but this time it panned out. You can't place any conclusions on what the format did this year. We got to let a couple of years go by, but it does provide an opportunity for a team like the Phillies, whose flaws were going into the series were defense and postseason, were defense and bullpen. Those two flaws,
And that
they overachieved, and then in the end, their strength, starting pitching, cost them against Houston.
And you know what else? Look at a team like San Diego, and look at that city. They were out there. If we keep doing the same cities, Atlanta and Los Angeles and whatever, then you don't grow the game. People at San Diego are energized, man. That was a very, very good team. We congratulate Dusty Baker. I mean, this is a wonderful achievement for a great baseball man, right? The other thing that to me it tells a story about is that is not as high priced a payroll as some of the other payrolls. These guys were all gotten, kind of in a fundamental way, and that it's nice to know that can still exist.
Yeah, well, they deserve credit because they've had, turnover on their personnel, and they haven't skipped a beat. That was my big question with them going into the playoffs. Carlos Correa bailed them out a number of times in these past years and helped them succeed. Who was going to take their place? And bingo, this rookie comes in and just dominates the postseason, except for Bryce Harper. He was the best player in the postseason. They don't skip a beat. They're not getting high draft choices. So there's something going right with that organization.
And to the victors goes the spoils. They're the world champions. Let's talk about the New York Yankees. The Astros were 11-2. You mentioned they rolled over Seattle. Let's face it, they rolled over the Yankees for nothing. They were built on low priced talent. We could talk about a lot of things. Do the Yankees have to sign Aaron Judge? To me, I can't imagine them letting him get away.
Well, I just can't fathom what the plan B is going to be if that doesn't happen. Look, they knew that he could perform at a high level. Nobody knew it would be at this kind of high level. Also, you have to look at it like this. Is he going to have a better year than this, that he just had? This could be his career year. It doesn't mean he's not going to be a great ball player.
Yeah.
Just that, he may not hit 60 home runs again. You can't expect that. But, yeah, it would be a PR disaster right now if they lost him. And on the field, they're not deep in the outfield. So they almost have to bring him back.
Pete Alonso hit 53 homers in his rookie season. Listen, he had a great year. He hit 40 homers, but he didn't hit 53 again. Do you have an explanation? Did time just simply catch up to Judge in the postseason? He really didn't look like he looked through the season in the playoffs.
Well, I firmly believe now that you look back that he was burnt out from the chase. There was a lot of pressure. It may have not been the Roger Maris type pressure that we remember in 61, but, ESPN was interrupting their programming to go to the at-bats. He had questions every day. When he got the 60th, I scored that night. It's funny. I scored the game when he set the rookie record originally, when he hit the 2 to reach 50. And then I scored the game when he hit 60. And he looked so relieved to get that 60th. And then he was trying to get 2 more. And, they're batting him first, which really didn't make a lot of sense for their lineup. So they were catering to him, which he didn't appreciate, I'm sure, because he's a team player. So, yeah, it may have caught up to him and burnt him out at the end.
Howie has a book coming out, and we're going to show you some of the books that he's written. We didn't want to assume people should know Howie is one of the official scorers of Major League Baseball games, and he's the one who decides if it's a hit or an error. And that ball that dropped between Judge and Bader, Harrison Bader, you were the one to say, well, it wasn't an error; it was just a bad play. It was just a double. Right? Did you score that game?
The one Bader dropped was an error.
Oh, the one that he dropped? Oh, the one that he dropped that like really cost them, that the judge ran in front of him?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that was an error. Wow.
That's not a double.
All right. Yeah. And
that's an error on Bader.
Howie's
there's
proud.
An interesting sidelight to that point, which you brought it up.
Yeah.
Christian Vasquez hit that ball, right? And he thought it was caught, and he ran into the infield. So in essence, he abandoned the base path. There's a rule in the book, I think it's number 5.04A comment. If a runner abandons his base path, he could be called out, even if he thought there was that he.
So should somebody have protested that?
That's my point. The manager should have been out there. Even if you don't get the call overturned,
wow,
you should be out there. It's funny. I spoke to a number of people about that. I wasn't at that game. I didn't score that game. I actually was working my other job. But the next night I was there for game 4. And, I was talking to a number of people. And if you asked them, who do you think would have been out there on that? And they all said Buck
Showalter. Yeah. We'll talk about the Mets in a moment. So here we go. I pulled down books. Half my collection is Howie Karpin books. Let's see. This is the book he wrote about Ralph Kiner. This is Yankees Essential.
That was the first.
For Yankee fans, gotta love this book. And this I love. This was a perfect season.
That was fun.
For the Mets. That was fun with the forward by David Wright.
Right.
The current book. What is the current book? It's a big Yankees thing, right?
Yeah, New York Yankees Firsts. It's another quiz book.
Okay.
It's firsts in team history. Obviously the obvious ones: first MVP, first World Series MVP. But I also broke it down to first Gold Glove winners at certain positions. Because it played in. It was the same format as my other quiz book. So you think you're a New York Yankees fan. You give the question and then you expand on the answer with a lot of facts and little items about the player.
It's coming out in April.
Right.
Right in time for opening day.
Lions Press, I should say.
There you go. All right, we're going to look forward to that. Howie, one last thing on the Yankees, then let's just talk about the Mets. This is the list of Yankee free agents. Benintendi, Chad Green, Aroldis Chapman, Jameson Taillon, Miguel Castro, Matt Carpenter, Zach Britton, Marwin Gonzalez, and, of course, Aaron Judge. Other than Judge, which is obvious, my thing, the one guy they should get is Benintendi. I think he adds an element to the game that they don't have otherwise. Anybody else big on that list for you?
I'd bring Taillon back. He was pretty good for them. He was solid for them. A nice number 3, number 4. Aroldis Chapman, see ya. Don't let the door hit you in the butt on the way out. He was a total waste.
Yes,
I didn't like that signing in the beginning. The Yankees have gotten too carried away with this power philosophy. Oh, power pitching, power hitting. They don't have balance. They have to balance out this lineup, and that's how you beat the Astros. You get left-hand hitters. Look what Harper and Schwarber did against their righties. Now, it wasn't enough, but here's another point, final point about the Yankees. the Astros had no respect for the Yankees left-hand hitting. They didn't even put a lefty on their roster in the bullpen. Yet when they came to the Phillies series, they immediately put a left-hander on their roster
Right.
because of Harper and
Because
Schwarber.
of that's right. Howie, let's just move on to the Mets. You were telling me beforehand that when he was with the Yankees, Buck Showalter, you kind of established a relationship. What do you got on the inside? You said you spoke to Buck, who was named Manager of the Year. He did a fantastic job changing the culture and at Citi Field. What do you know about Buck that would be interesting to share?
Well, he certainly wasn't pleased about the result. I mean,
Ah.
they really thought they had a good shot, but just things seemed to, crumble on them a little bit. And look, DeGrom wasn't the same DeGrom at the end of the year. I mean, you saw it.
He had a bad September. The whole September was not good.
To get racked up by the A's, it's not just one game. He got,
Yeah.
get hit around pretty good. Now, there was some ridiculous second guessing about Buck going with Scherzer in game one instead of DeGrom. I mean, come on. Scherzer's your
It didn't
guy.
work
He's gotta come
out.
through, right?
We're almost out of time. I just want to ask you about DeGrom and of course, Met fans want him to be signed, but there's a caution out there. He's been an injured player a number of times, and that last month and into what he pitched one game in the playoffs, and it did not go well. Um, all teams have to be aware. Maybe he wants to be paid for his past, but as much as I'm a Met fan, as you know, I'd love to see him back. I don't know if this is what you got to do.
Well, they got to really weigh what they're going to give him. The good thing is
And
they
what
have
they
an
would
owner,
get instead of him.
right? And they have an owner who looks like he's going to, he looks like he knows what he's doing. To sign Diaz like that without any hesitation, that says a lot to the players that this guy means business. He wants to win. So he's setting a nice tone for them for the offseason. I don't see them giving him more than 2-3 years. Maybe they're front loaded one big year and then the second year and have an option. His value is not going to be as great as they think it is on the mark. He's not getting 7 years. No way. Not even getting
Of course.
5.
And it comes down to what has often come down to with some of these free agents, one dumb owner. Is there one owner who's desperate to have that, the Angels, the Braves would like to bring a hometown guy back? Howie, listen, we got about 100 issues we could talk about, but we're out of time. It is always a pleasure. We'll look forward to seeing you at either one of the stadiums or both the stadiums scoring, and make sure we pick up the book. This is The Yankees Firsts by Howie Karpin. It'll be out in April. All right, we're set.
Love it. Always love talking baseball with you, buddy.
You're the best,
You
my
know
friend.
your game.
You do too. All right. We're going to take a short break, and then we're going to switch gears, and we're going to talk to two wonderful artists who are part of a gallery at An Beal Bocht in the Bronx. We'll be right back. Okay, back with you on the Bronx Buzz. Thank you to Howie Karpin for filling us in. And there's always more to talk about with Howie. We'll have him back on again. But right now, let's go up to West 238th Street in Riverdale and see An Beal Bocht and their wonderful group art show. We say good evening to Suzanne Hockstein. Nice to see you, Suzanne.
Nice to see
And
you. Thank you.
thank you. And Jordan Moss, my longtime friend. People know him. He was the editor of the Norwood News. Now he is a budding artist and a working artist and a prolific artist. Nice to see you, my friend Jordan.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Suzanne, let's just start with you. An Beal Bocht has done this kind of thing. This is really what a community, I don't want to call it a bar, establishment maybe, should be doing, right? I mean, give artists a chance to
Absolutely.
show. Talk about this particular
Absolutely.
show and putting it together. What was it like?
Well, this particular show is a group show, which we don't do that many of at An Beal Bocht. I'm not actually the booker of the wall, but I assist sometimes. Like if they have a cancellation, I will try to find an artist for them to
Mhm.
utilize. I have great connections like Jordan Moss in the Bronx arts community. And I have traditionally done February myself. That's my month. Usually it's one artist doing the whole month.
Right.
And I have done, well, this February will be my 12th show there.
Wow,
So, but
congratulations.
we had
And thank you for
cancellation.
doing that. We need to promote our artists in the Bronx, and of course, the Bronx is just, for want of a better term, full of it. We really have a lot of
Yes,
great artists. Let's
a lot.
congratulate Catherine M. Donnelly, Allison Choate, Suzanne Hockstein is you, Valerie Deese, Jordan Moss, and Ardina Seward for their work.
Yes.
Um, how do you go about selecting? Is it just calling people you know, or do you look and say, "Hey, do you have anything new?" I mean, how do you go about choosing who gets to be in a show like this?
This particular show, I chose a few people that were, for whatever reason, emotionally or just inventory wise, not prepared to do a full show of their own. And they, oh, no, 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 I couldn't
Ah,
possibly. I saw some of your artwork on Facebook and I was like, you need a month on the wall. Oh, no, 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 I couldn't possibly do that. And so I thought I could kind of come in from the side and get them to do a group show. Oh, no, no, I only need 4 or 5 pieces. It'll be easy, easy. I'll hang it. It'll be nothing. Don't worry. And and I'm hoping that this will lift them up and give them some confidence that they can get that month for themselves.
I think a
And
per.
I know go
What
ahead.
were you going to say? Go ahead.
I was going to
I
say I
was.
know Catherine. I sing with Catherine,
Oh,
and
there you
I
go.
know Allison through the Portsmouth Theater,
So
and I
you
know
pulled them in.
Jordan,
I
as I mentioned before.
I
Just
think
pulled
a
them in.
perfect test to find out if it does help them and spur their inspiration is to ask Jordan Moss. When you're in a show like this and friends like me or others and neighbors come in, does it help? Does it encourage? I mean, is that a good thing for you and your work and being able to create?
Oh, oh yes, that's kind of key I find because everyone's got their own sight and view of what they see and are i- interested in, and they have things to ask. Somebody said to me that it looks like that I look up a lot when I take my photographs. That it's from it's from the ground, looking up high at trees and
Hmm.
buildings and things like that. And that was not a thought that I had, but that is actually, a lot of my work is that way.
So look,
Is this-
let's take a look. Let's put up. I know producer Anderson has some of the work. This to me looked like the Guggenheim Museum. Was I right about that?
yes, that is right. There's a reflection there that's not there in
Well,
the
that was because I took a picture
right,
of
yeah,
it.
yeah. So that shot was outside the Guggenheim, which I
Mm.
often take shots inside and outside there whenever I'm there because just the circular structure there, the unique structure with everything
Hmm.
else that's all straight and square and all of that. I just find that really
Anderson, keep going. Let's go because we want to show.
yeah.
This is fascinating. Now, is this up? This looks like a tree.
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
think.
no, this is, just very large, plant called elephant ears, and if I didn't have my wife there that day, I don't think that I would know what it was. But it's at Wave Hill, right outside,
There you go. Do
and
you
yeah.
do you do things like go to Wave Hill and say, "I want to, take, photographs of today," or you just happen to be there and you say, "Well, maybe I'll
Yeah,
take."
no, it's like my phone, these days, not that I have a Nikon too, but my iPhone comes with me, of course, everywhere that I go, and there's almost no place like that, or even in the outdoors, or even on the subway train, that I don't end up seeing stuff that I wanna take pictures of. It's just a part of my every day. It's not like I assign myself to go out at a certain time.
There's one
And
more I think we have one more that we wanna show.
oh, yeah,
Also, there is a reflection there. Those were my pictures taken of your pictures.
yeah, yeah.
Um, what I do wanna ask you about is you've been painting a lot and you've been working in other mediums. At what point do you say to yourself, "Oh, I think I'm gonna, do photography now?"
Oh, well, I think that, my photography is less of a planned thing. It's more when I go, when I'm outside and go on trains and to parks and, things like that, just as like a part of my life. Whereas I plan more for my abstract artwork. I do mixed, media artwork, and I do that at a, self-assigned time, like 9 to 12, every day that I can.
Wow. And
And,
do you work every day? It can be difficult for artists, to do
I
that emotionally and otherwise, but do you, get up there and
yeah,
work every day?
I'd say, the last week or so has been really hard thanks to, the show and the other shows
Blame the
I'm
show.
in right now, that I'm in right now, but yes, I do almost, I'd say, 9 out of 10 days in a row, I
Wow.
am up there,
Good for you, and the work shows it. I mean, I've obviously known you a long time, and you can see the progression. These 4 pieces I thought were just spectacular. I love the Guggenheim. I love the elephant ears. You're just doing great. So the idea is you work every day. Do you like wake up and say, "I have a plan now today, I'm gonna work on this," or do you kind of get a feel for a day and then decide what you wanna do and what you wanna create?
Yeah, there's, usually 3 or 4 things, up there in my, attic space there that I'm working on, and, sometimes I go back and forth. I'm not sure what to work on. I think too much. I don't do what I wanna do, but, that's the way it is for, for me. The thing that that catches on, that I'm more, clear about where I wanted to head with it next, that's the thing that occupies me, and takes me along. So it's hard to, like, sometimes I get a lot done, sometimes I don't, but without that step you don't get to the
To the next
other
step.
step.
I
Right?
I was walking through Van Cortlandt Park, and I
Yeah,
ran into a guy who paints,
yeah,
and when I looked at what he was painting, he was not painting the scene that he sees.
yeah,
And I was like, "Well, wait a minute, you're standing here and you're looking at, like, this beautiful trees and this beautiful area,
yeah.
but you're painting something that looks totally different." He's told me I thought this was so interesting. He told me that he likes to just be out there because it allows his mind to just expand. Do you, like, look for things that give you inspiration? Let's say when you're painting or creating, based on, what you see in the beautiful
No,
Bronx?
right, no.
Or do
Mm.
you like I'm always interested in an artist's muse. That's my
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, and, like, everyone, I mean, what you said about that man you saw, that's really interesting, but, yeah, no, I find the things really, separate. It's not like I see a tree and I wanna paint a tree. I love to photograph trees and buildings, and, graffiti art, in tunnels, and things like that. But when I'm, in my attic, that's to do, abstract art. That what
Right.
inspires me are the items that I have that are around me, which are, a lot of used cardboard, like from egg cartons, from fruit cartons,
Oh, right.
um, from,
Leaves if I remember correctly, I've seen you use leaves and other things like that, things
I
out of paper,
not of late, but I have tried that.
right?
And yeah.
So, I think about two aspects. Let's talk about the photography first. Do you play with the development in that process? A lot of people will add some color, or they will say this one's better in black and white, or do some other lighting things. Do you do a lot of that, or
Yeah.
are the things we see pretty much what you saw when you went?
Um, um, you're seeing, the shape that I saw. Sometimes I do edit it down a little bit. Um, and color wise, I don't change them, but I do, intensify them at times, and sharpen them. And sometimes I just like them better black and white. And the camera world now, you can do
You
whatever the
can
heck you want.
communicate anything, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and
Before we run out of time, I want to ask you one more question.
sure.
Similar kind of thing for your other work, and I ask a lot of artists this: how do you know you're done? So you keep fixing, you keep fixing, and then at some point you say, "Oh, that's it, I'm done," or "All right, I've had it. I'm not going to do this anymore."
Yeah, yeah, there's
How do
some
you
of
know?
both. There's some of both, but, as time goes on, it's, more and more that, I like. I mean, it sounds like, a simplistic thing, but I like what I see. I like what I've done, and, sometimes I spend a little time on that. I leave it aside, and come
And
back
then
to
come
it.
back to it.
Yeah,
Oh,
and then
very interesting.
I sort of might see a new thing. Yeah.
Jordan Moss, and listen, we should mention that Suzanne Hockstein had a Wi-Fi thing, so we couldn't include her in the
Yeah.
final
She was
part of your
great,
program
by the way. This wouldn't have occurred without
without
her,
her.
and, like, she
Listen, it's great
yeah, yeah,
having people together. I actually made a really good media contact, which really helped
uh-huh,
at that show. But that's the nature of everybody getting together and
right.
being of a common mind. Congratulations on the ongoing artwork, and we will look forward to whenever and wherever you're showing again. Right now, people can see the group art show at An Beal Bocht Cafe, which is West 238th Street in Riverdale, just I guess that's east of Riverdale Avenue, down the hill a
Right.
little bit.
Well, I can see once
Jordan,
a month,
say
yeah.
say hello to the family, and we'll see you around town.
Thanks so much, thanks so much.
All right, folks, that will do it for the Bronx Buzz. We thank Howie Karpin and his wonderful input on baseball, and of course Jordan Moss and Suzanne Hockstein for their great artwork and the work at An Beal Bocht Cafe. And next week we'll be back. We'll see you then. Good night.